I just hit that point where I was like, do I really want to do this anymore? Do I really want to be on earth? Do I really want to, be doing these feelings repeatedly? Is there a way out? And I was just like, maybe I should just leave earth and maybe I should just commit suicide. My cat Cleopatra came over, to me where I was in the bedroom, and she just laid on my chest. And for some reason that thought stuck in my mind, and I'm not sure why, but it did. That gave me just a little bit of hope that all of those challenges, all of that pain actually had a purpose.
You said that you were depressed and you went through, I thought that was really interesting how you said you went through a breakup and you went through this big transition. So leading up to the breakup, how did you come to that decision? Because that's quite a life-changing decision at that point in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Chris. And, for me, I was in this relationship for probably 4.5 to 5 years at this point that I was really beginning to wonder, was this going to be long term? Was I a hindrance to her? Was I really growing and developing in the way that I was really wanting to? And then I sat down and I said to myself, what are my core values? And growth happens to be one of my core values. And so what I was realizing through reflection, through journaling, is that I was trying a variety of methods to get her to kind of grow and develop and kind of see where it was that I think our relationship could go. So I tried to explain myself. I tried to have new experiences. We talked about the cost of doing nothing. And when it really came down to it, she just really wasn't at that point of change the same way that I was. And so I was trying new things in my business. I was launching new services. I was, taking on challenging clients, or I would, go travel internationally alone. And I even hired a Reiki master, right? Trying to figure out if the problem that I was feeling in my heart was me or if it was the relationship. And another one of my core values is authenticity. And what I started to realize is that I hadn't developed far enough to see my uniqueness outside the relationship. Right. I thought that she was there to complete me, and I didn't believe myself to be whole. And so I think she was kind of mirroring parts for me of myself that I didn't invest the time to develop, but I really should have. And so what I finally came to this realization or this conclusion for myself, Chris, was that the only way I was going to ascend to this next level of my life was no longer relying on the feeling that she gave me or the feeling that I needed to be in a relationship. Right. So a lot of journaling, a lot of reflection, a lot of conversation, energy healers, Reiki masters, all of those things together to get me to that point of clarity.
I think most people kind of go to that thing where they're like, we're going to get married or not. It's kind of like those two things, that kind of thing. It's it's a really tricky and bold thing to come to that conclusion.
When I really started to think about the transformation that I was desiring to go through, or the growth that I was looking for in my business, or the amount of travel that I wanted to do, what I realized is that we were diverging, and that I was looking for more growth and faster change and more opportunities. And she was looking for a little bit of safety, a little bit of peace, a little bit of slowing down. And partially the reason is that she was very secure in her career, but we had also just sent her daughter off to college. And so she was at the point of wanting to be an empty nester and kind of slow down and just enjoy herself a little bit more.
Yeah.
And so we could have very easily gotten married and kind of continued on that path. But where she was looking to settle down and do the empty nest thing for herself and just kind of spend time with her friends, I was looking to ascend and grow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it, when you've got you've got that huge decision where like if you do part, then there's a whole bunch of questions there, and also comes with that loneliness, and that's a lot of I suppose, I don't want to use the word responsibility, but that's a lot of, like, if you make the wrong choice, it's like it deeply affects your life. So I think that's a really important part of what you were saying the other day, in that you had to make that decision to move forward in your life.
Yeah, I think many of us do. And I think right now in human history, there's so much transformation that's occurring on Earth in general, in that each of us is being encouraged to do that. And that was the first time in my life, Chris, that I had ever consciously, intentionally made the choice to be single. And I mean that. I mean, I got into a relationship at age 13 and a half, almost 14, and I had really never been single all the way up until about age 38. I'd been in a series of relationships. And so it was a really intentional choice, but a really powerful one. But I'm really glad that I did it.
Yeah, well, that's really interesting because I would say generally people, when it comes to those sorts of things, they just kind of go on the treadmill of what's already happened because they don't know anything else, and they just say, well, this is how it is, and just kind of get on with it. So I think, yeah, again, to make that decision to actually say, you know what, I'm going to intentionally change my life, for better or for worse, because I guess, as you said to me earlier, initially you felt really terrible. So I'll go on to the next question here because you said, so you, at a certain point, I guess it was near this point, maybe shortly afterwards, you said you were suicidal and you felt like you didn't want to go on. So could you elaborate on that situation?
Yeah, that's a great kind of segue, Chris, because it was July, August of 2018 when we made this choice. Basically were going through the process of separation. We were sending her daughter off to college. So I, for the first time in my life, was living as a single man in a very difficult part of Phoenix, Arizona. And so I thought to myself in those kind of Q4 of 2018, I thought to myself, okay, I need probably a year or two of time to just focus on myself personally. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand some sections in my business. So in December, January, February of late 2018, early 2019, I launched a very high dollar value workshop series
Hmm.
that the material was converted into online courses. And as fate would have it, those were not selling, and I was making heavy investments into them. So when, March, April of 2019 came around, I was just feeling incredible amounts of despair because for the first time in my life, I'm single. My stepdaughter's a few hours away at college. And now these things in my business that I was doubling down on were not working, and I felt completely alone. I felt an incredible amount of despair. There was so much, shame and worry and concern, anxiety, nervousness, stress. All of those things really hit me at the same time. So then in May of 2019, I just got to the rock bottom point. I just hit that point where I was like, do I really want to do this anymore? Do I really want to be on earth? Do I really want to, be doing these feelings repeatedly? Is there a way out? And I just, for every person that I talked to and for everything that I tried, it seemed like I kept running up against the same kind of block wall. And so one day in May, I was lying on the bedroom floor and I was just like, maybe I should just leave Earth and maybe I should just commit suicide. So while I was laying there, it was just one of those things where just bawling, just, crying, just wondering, the entire afternoon. And then all of a sudden, my cat Cleopatra came over, to me where I was in the bedroom, and she just laid on my chest. And Cleopatra is not an affectionate cat. And so it was really interesting to me that she came over and was lying on my chest. And then she started to purr with a very, very deep resonance. And that to me was really interesting because at that moment, my intuition said that I needed to stay and that the challenges that I was going through were a little bit harder than many because my calling was higher. And that's what I had to like really kind of grapple with because it was like, okay, am I running away from never wanting to feel that feeling again? Or am I running towards some new, better version of myself where I release these old mental models or I give myself a chance to experiment or iterate in kind of an emotional neutral zone? Or, do I make the room to welcome these new blessings into my life? And so through all of this personal loss, I could have never predicted that lying on the floor, wondering how I would end my life, that this really independent, kind of not affectionate cat would be the thing that would remind me that I needed to stay. And that's how it happened.
It's amazing. It's kind of like I can almost picture that cat, because I've had cats and I'm a bit of a dog person, but I like cats as well. And yeah, they're like, as they say, hoarding cats is really difficult. Like they never do what you want them to do. And then you can just imagine at that point, the cat is just like, come on now, come on, don't give up, come back.
It's so true. In that moment, I felt like my story of, exiting a relationship or sending a child off to college or having different parts of your business not work.
Yeah.
I felt like my story could help others overcome that exact same challenge for themselves in some way. And for some reason, that thought stuck in my mind, and I'm not sure why, but it did. But that gave me throughout the summer of 2019, that gave me just a little bit of hope that all of those challenges, all of that pain actually had a purpose.
Yeah.
And that, I think, I want everybody to recognize is that pain isn't just pain. Inside of it, kind of covered up, can be purpose.
Yeah.